Grampion Nation, welcome back again. This time we got a pretty serious discussion to have with a young lady by the name of Maria, not her real name. And she is from Venezuela, currently living somewhere else. And we want to make you educated and known. We want you to have a grasp of what really has happened down in Venezuela because it's important. It's important to America, but it's really important to the people in Venezuela. So stand by for Maria. Just a moment.
In 2013, I coined the name Grampion, and I gave it to your host, Jim Tracy.
Hello, I'm happy to be here, Jim, and excited about this conversation.
All right. Well, Maria, welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you. I want you to know in advance if any of the questions make you uncomfortable or create any danger for you or your family, you just tell me to keep moving along and I will do that. And we'll obviously honor that request. But we're so thrilled to have you here. So I want you to, I know Maria is not your real name, but I would like the folks out here to get an idea of who you are, like an age range. Are you in your 20s or your 30s or your 40s or your 50s or older?
Yes,
Give us a that.
I'm in my 30s. I'm in my early
Okay.
30s.
All right.
However, I spent most of my 20s and most of my young life in Venezuela.
Okay. So you were, let's get that story going a bit. Were you born in Venezuela?
Yes, I was born in the Venezuelan Andes Mountains.
Okay. So in the country, not in the city.
It's a small city. It's a small
Okay, a
city in the
small city
Andes.
in the
Yeah,
Andes
it's a small
Mountains.
city.
Okay.
hmm
And so tell our folks, where is Venezuela? And so if you're from, if you're from Illinois, you probably don't have a lot of idea where Venezuela is. It's somewhere down south, but give us an idea where it is.
Yeah, so Venezuela is a Caribbean country. We have one of the biggest Caribbean coastlines.
Hmm.
90% of the people are about an hour, 2 hours away uh, driving to the coast.
Hmm.
However, as I mentioned before, I'm from the Andes Mountains. So it's a very
Hmm.
diverse country in terms of geography.
Okay.
It's near the Ecuador and has great climate.
Okay. So I know that like the ABC Islands, it's Aruba and Bonaire
Yeah.
and what's the sea island?
Curacao.
Okay. So those are huge vacation spots. They're right off the coast of Venezuela, are they
Yes.
not?
Yes,
Okay.
they are.
So there's
Yes,
a
yes.
lot of Americans who are very close to a lot of USA citizens who are very close to the Venezuelan coast.
That is correct. That is
Okay.
absolutely correct.
And because of that and because of your awesome climate, wasn't tourism a big part of Venezuela's economy like in the 70s and 80s?
Back in the day, yes, and especially not only the coastline, but the whole country received
Okay.
tourists from all over the world. We have
Mm.
the biggest, what? How do I say this? Like the biggest cascade, the biggest
Mhm.
mountain that has water falling off from it in a
Right,
continuous
waterfall.
way. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
the biggest waterfall is in Venezuela,
Okay.
and it's in one of
Wow.
the oldest regions of the world. So it's very beautiful.
Okay. So, in Venezuela, you've got that beautiful coastal region, which is beaches and it's vacation spot, and but it's also that's kind of where Caracas, the capital city, is. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Caracas is the capital city.
And then there's farmland. There's a lot of farmland
There
that
is.
raises, and coffee's a big crop. What are some of the other agricultural products that come
So,
from Venezuela?
yes. So that's a great question. Back in the day, we did used to have a better, like, let's say, world ranked coffee industry. But
Hmm.
nowadays, the things we export the most are both rum. We have a great liquor,
Hmm.
like the Caribbean rum.
Yeah.
It's one of the best in the world because of
Okay.
its aging. It's very good.
Yeah.
And also, we have a great chocolate industry. It's
Oh,
small.
my wife will be happy. I want Venezuelan chocolate for
Yeah,
Valentine's
it's like
Day.
very handcrafted, like artisan made, if you could
Hmm.
call it so. But it's considered one of the best in the world. It's
Oh,
the
wow.
Chuao chocolate. Yeah.
Okay. And so obviously there's also jungles and mountains there because
Hmm.
you're on the equator. Have an incredibly diverse ecological economy, if I
Yes.
call it that. What is it like? How high are the mountains there when you talk about the
The
Andes?
highest is oh, I need to change it to the to the system used in America, but it's
Okay.
5,000 meters.
Okay.
So we
So
would need to do the
15,000 feet, those are big mountains. Okay.
yeah, big mountains.
Okay. So, and do you live in Venezuela now?
No, not currently, but I used to live there until less than 2 years ago,
Okay.
and I
And s
visit.
okay, so why are you shielding your identity today?
So, talking about Venezuela freely, the way I want to in this conversation, can
Mhm,
pose some risks for any Venezuelan citizen. So,
mhm,
since I do go back to my country to visit my family, I want to preserve my identity to make sure not only me, but my family is not endangered. As
m'kay,
they, unfortunately, this government has the practice of not only hurting a person who said something wrong, but also targeting their families.
okay, so, again, I want you to know if there's anything that creates any risk for you or your family, just tell me to move along, and
Thank you for that,
I
Jim.
will honor that request, but, we wanted to understand, and one of the reasons this podcast came about is I wanted to understand more about the history of Venezuela. So tell us what it was like growing up in Venezuela.
Wow. Yeah. So even though I was born in Venezuela, I lived my let's say preschool years, like from since I was 2 years old until a little later, like
Mhm.
several years. I spent my childhood in Spain. And
Okay.
then I went back to Venezuela. I was still a child, so
Mhm.
still below 10 years old, like younger than
Okay.
10 years old.
Yeah.
Um, and wow, it was such a huge cultural shock for me coming from Europe at that
Mhm.
age, because Venezuela is a very joyful country.
Mm.
It's people who enjoy the Caribbean culture, who talk out loud, who are not scared to make friends on the streets, like just hello, how are you, like it's a very friendly country even for
Uh-huh.
foreigners, like we're
Yeah.
very open people. So that was a big contrast coming from Europe when I
Mhm.
was little, and it took me some time to actually adapt to that, and of course later on, like in later years, I started to finally feel Venezuelan. But this experience is not exclusive to me. Many
Mhm.
Venezuelans who have mixed heritage have felt this way, and it's very
Okay.
common. Something you must know about Venezuela is that we're a big melting pot of different
Mm.
cultures,
Sure.
European, Black, African, of course, Latin American, but
Mhm.
from other neighbor countries like Peru,
Mhm.
Colombia, Chile,
Yeah.
Argentina. Like we welcomed people from all over the world during many like throughout
Yeah.
our whole history. So it's
Sure.
a very mixed country in that sense.
Okay. So, so you've got this beautiful country with coastal beaches, with mountain plateaus, and you've got a great agricultural economy, and then they find oil, and it really ramps up your economy. In the 1970s, they were doing 3.5 billion barrels a day. Or
Yes.
3.5 million barrels a day at the height of the production of oil in Venezuela. And so during like in that area of your childhood, there was a huge job market. There was very little
Yes.
unemployment, and it was just good times. I mean, for
Yes, it was
everybody,
great
wasn't it?
times. It was
Yeah.
great times, and there's a lot you must know in terms of how that oil used to benefit the population in Venezuela. Like oil had a public spending that was very large in universities. So
Hmm.
actually, my parents got to study for free, and many Venezuelans got to study for free because the oil industry was so good
Yeah.
that it allowed for free education for all. So
Free
it was,
college, that's a
yeah,
dream come true, right?
free college, and very
Okay.
good, like high quality college. So
Uh-huh.
even it even gave them it even gave Venezuelans the possibility of getting scholarships to go abroad,
Oh, wow.
study, and then come back to invest in their country. So that was the
Wow.
country we had. It was a very rich country with a lot
Mhm.
of public spending that came from oil, and we had good partnerships with companies from all over the world. So it
Mhm.
was boiling in a good way. Yeah.
So, from a historical perspective, I wrote some notes down because I had to break it down by decade, kind of. And in the
Hmm.
1970s, was dominated by oil infrastructure, a superbly growing economy, and then the 80s. During the 80s, the nationalization of the oil industry was complete. It began in like 1976 or something like that. But then the currency got devalued, and that started a trend down more. And then in the 90s, multiple government entities or parties or I guess
Hmm.
parties is what I would call it, kind of led to a lot of instability politically and
Yes.
a lot of coup attempts and things like that, and resulted in the election of Hugo Chavez, who lots of people know, good, bad, or indifferent. He was the leader of Venezuela, and then in the 2000s, um, there was the consolidation of ties, and these are ties with countries like Cuba and China and Russia
Yes.
and Iran, and so all of a sudden, the country of Venezuela kind of changed who they hung out with. They changed who their friends were, and then in the 2010s, your former president Nicolas Maduro came into power in 2013, but then it started this hyperinflation, which
Yes, that is
changed
correct.
everything for the people, and then emigration out of away from Venezuela, and really a strain between two peoples, between the Venezuelan people and the people of the United States. And
Yes,
so I was curious, through all this, you watched a declining economy and it
absolutely.
was personal. What did it feel like?
Oh, well, as I mentioned earlier, growing up as a kid and then a teenager in Venezuela, of course, I didn't have money of my own
Hmm.
back then. So every year I would ask for more, cash from my parents. So just to
Sure.
get an empanada, which is our favorite breakfast,
Uh-huh.
I noticed as a kid that hey, I cannot fit the bills, like I cannot fit the cash in my wallet because it's way too much. Like it got devaluated so fast that
Uh-huh.
what I used to need to buy to
Hmm.
purchase an empanada changed dramatically from year to year until I just couldn't hold it in my pocket because it was too
Yeah.
many
So
too
tell
many
people,
bills.
just we got to help people really get a grasp of this. An empanada is the equivalent of a donut in America, right? I mean,
Um, mm, you could say so, but
it's
it's
a
made from
pastry.
corn. It's made
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
it's salty. It's salty.
Oh,
It's
okay.
with meat or with
Okay.
cheese, and
So
it's
this
with
is like a
made with
breakfast
corn.
burrito. I have to put it in
Yeah,
Western context.
like a
It
corn
is like
fried.
your
It's like a dumpling made out of
okay.
corn. Yeah, like a
All
dumpling,
right.
and it filled with cheese and meat.
And it's
It's
a
very good.
single serving. S-
It could be,
You
yeah,
only eat
single
one of them
serving. You
really for
use,
breakfast if you're a kid.
yeah, and you put some sauce into it. Like it's very, we like spicy. We like.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, got so you would go in and say, and I'm going to try and make a comparison. What is the currency? What is the name of the currency in Venezuela?
Bolívares. Hmm.
Okay, so one of those would kind of be a dollar if you thought about it, right?
Oh my God! Like, well,
I
right
mean,
now
not
that's
today,
a.
but I mean back in the day.
Oh, that's a tough. I cannot. The reason I cannot answer that is it changed so rapidly
Okay,
that what I tell you January 2000 is not going to be the same in a year, in 2 years, in three. Like it
okay,
became a number that you cannot grasp in your mind. It's so many
okay,
zeros. It got devaluated
Oh, wow.
on. So it's out of proportion for the human
So
mind.
so at its peak, how many, the name of the currency again?
Bolívares. It comes from
Bolivares,
Simón
yeah,
Bolívar,
from
who was
Bolivar, yeah,
the
from the
yeah,
hero of
yeah,
Venezuela is a man by the
yeah,
name of Bolivar,
yeah.
or, Bolivar, as we would say, but anyway, Bolivar, like Bolivia, the country,
Yes.
but how many of those would it take to buy a empanada when you were a kid?
Okay. So when I was little, you could go get by with 100 bolívares, which is 100.
100,
But
okay.
but then as I grew up, it started becoming 500. It started becoming 1000. Then
Mhm,
started becoming a lot more. Then Chavez needed to take some zeros out of the currency so that the old 500 were not the current 500. That happened
yeah,
a couple times. So he took zeros out of the currency. So it just became hard to grasp
mhm.
really how much the devaluation had been, and
So how
it's
much is the
mind-blowing.
most you can ever remember? How many bolivars is the most you can ever remember buying a empanada with?
That changes all the time. I
Yeah,
yeah, no, I have no idea, honestly. I cannot answer
like
that because
a thousand or a
it can,
hundred
yeah, no,
thousand
easily
or
1,000, easily 1,000. But then with the devaluation, it just could be 10,000, twenty
oh
thousand. Like
my,
it just changed, and
so
then they quit the zeros from it, so they
that's like
removed
going
the zeros.
from
Yeah,
$2 to $2,000 for the
yeah,
same to buy the same thing.
yeah.
That's incredible.
It it
That's
just was
incredible.
crazy.
And the same was for fuel and for electricity and
So,
for
yes.
food,
So,
rent,
mentioning
clothes,
oil, so
oil.
there's a few things I think we need to uh, clear up on the record, for
Okay.
the record.
Mhm,
So, one thing you mentioned about Chavez was all the turmoil in which he came into power.
mhm,
One important fact is that he actually did a coup before he was elected.
mhm,
So, unfortunately, the Venezuelan people, by I think it was about a 10% margin back in the day,
mhm,
elected him after he had been pardoned and released from prison after a coup he had intended
mhm.
he had made, and he killed people during that coup in Caracas.
Yeah.
So that happened.
Yeah, those political coups were common
Yes, they were.
during the 1990s,
Yes.
and so there was an incredible amount of political instability, and some people would say that he took unfair advantage of that. We're not going to get into that. I want
Yeah.
to know what it feels like in Venezuela, and so let's take it the next step. So
Hmm.
you in your childhood you're realizing that things like cost more, and you're going to your dad and say,
Hmm.
"Hey, Dad, it's good. You got to give me a couple grand because I want to get breakfast."
And the
And
fuel was a big
fuel.
thing. The fuel was a big
Okay.
thing because you would see queues. So it's an
Mm.
oil country, like
Hmm.
the country with the biggest oil reserve in the world, and
Yeah.
you would see big, big queues, like big. You could spend 1 hour, then 2 hours, then 8 hours, then 2 days just
Mm.
to get fuel.
And
So
waiting in line in a
waiting in
gas
line.
line to fill your car with
Yes,
gasoline in a country that has more gas or more oil than anybody.
yes,
Are
yes.
there refineries in Venezuela?
There used to be, and they it started exploding.
Oh
Low
my.
maintenance, bad management,
Okay.
and yeah, they started exploding or just not delivering.
So
So,
now the value that you add to the oil, which generally could be used locally or
mhm.
exported, either one, is not really available anymore.
Not only is not it's not available, and we used to have an issue with Colombia because people came from
Mm.
Colombia to get Venezuelan fuel, which was cheaper. You would see that in the
Uh-huh.
border.
Okay.
I'm used to seeing motorcycles filled with what we call pimpinas, which are like
Mm.
the bottles filled
Yeah.
with gas from Venezuela to
Gasoline.
take them
Yeah.
to Colombia. Yeah,
Not very safe.
yeah, not very safe. That stopped happening, and now what is happening is that we need to import gasoline from Iran, which actually
Mm.
I'm I used to drive a car back when I was in Venezuela,
Mhm.
and it's an issue. You need to take your car every 6 months for maintenance because it gets filled up with like dirt. It's bad quality oil, and
Oh,
it comes from Iran.
yeah,
And for
bad
us,
quality
for us, it's
gasoline from
yes,
Iran. Okay.
bad quality gasoline, and it just messes up with the cars. So we need to
Wow.
do constant maintenance checkups. We have old cars because new cars are, yeah, you cannot
Not really
purchase
affordable.
those in Venezuela, and
Okay.
they get damaged because of that
Okay.
gasoline.
So, then, you went to college, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and, did you go to college in Venezuela?
yes,
Is there
yes.
more than one college there? If you don't
Yeah,
wanna
yeah, there are
identify that,
actually quite a
but
few.
a whole bunch of them.
Yes, there's a whole bunch of them,
Okay.
and we're actually very proud of our education. They used to be one of the top universities in the whole Latin America. We have
Mhm,
free universities. I studied for free. However, there's a caveat to this. So, as I mentioned back in the day, and I know this because I have family members that have worked
mhm,
in the university system.
yeah,
um, Back in the day, the salaries were pretty good. A professor could get up to $3,000 for salary, which is pretty good in Latin America.
mhm,
Um, then, as years came by and this government took power, that started being lower and lower and lower until
mhm.
a university professor got a $5 salary a month. Like you couldn't even purchase a box of
$5 a
eggs with that.
month?
Yeah.
Wow,
Like
wow.
you couldn't even purchase eggs with that, like
Yeah,
just a breakfast. So
yeah,
when that started happening, and I actually lived this in 2017, which was one of the hardest years for Venezuelans, and many Venezuelans decided to flee
mhm,
the country back then.
mhm,
I was still a college student, and my teacher started being Skinner, getting Skinner and Skinner and
losing
famelic,
weight?
like just hungry, just hungry. Like you
Yeah,
could see the hunger, and they still showed up for class. So
wow,
at that moment, I gained such respect for them because
mm,
they raised a whole generation of people like me
mhm,
out of their pockets, out of
yeah,
volunteer work. So those free universities, yes, they continue to be free, but they used to be funded by oil. Nowadays, they're not funded by oil, they're funded by the teachers themselves who are
mm,
doing voluntary work.
wow.
Hmm.
That's very commendable. So, um, now you say you graduated from college and it's 2017 and the times are not that good.
Hmm.
It doesn't feel good
Hmm.
to be a Venezuelan citizen. What do you
Yeah.
do?
So there's 2 big years. Well, you could say three big years that were
Hmm.
not good to be a Venezuelan citizen. The first one was 2014.
Okay.
That's when my sister fled the country.
Hmm.
Um, the second one was 2017. That's when two of my best friends fled the country,
Wow.
and when you started seeing those university alleys just empty, you
Hmm.
started seeing the trash in the streets, the just loneliness in the streets.
Hmm.
Many families are breaking apart because people were just fleeing the country, and like, yeah, just big migration crisis.
Yeah, so they
Um,
don't call that immigration, it's the opposite, it's emigration. So you had
yes,
a huge number of Venezuelans that left the country,
yes.
and they were just looking for something better for their lives. Is that correct?
Correct. There were a lot of university protests back then, both in 2014 and 2017. But
Mhm,
anyone who spoke the truth about what's happening was getting imprisoned. Um, in
mhm,
fact, I have a story of a very close friend of mine who
okay.
was just doing peaceful protesting, and he got shot in his mouth. So just by an inch, he didn't die, basically.
Mm,
And he was taken care of by doctors from the university who were also working as volunteers. So everything I'm telling you, in terms of how the university works, including the healthcare system, was volunteer work from other Venezuelans,
Yeah.
saving lives and just working to get our
And
country
the
back.
X-rays that we're gonna show in a minute are gonna put that into context for people, but tell us what I mean, what was he protesting?
Just having a normal country with democracy and regular salaries, and just
Mhm.
having a country you could live in without fear of getting imprisoned for speaking out loud, and have freedom of expression, basically.
Yeah, was he
And
protesting against the government?
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
And the government objected to that, and they sent in people to stop that protest from happening.
Yeah, and it was actually a big protest. There were many students in that protest, and they have art groups called Tupamaros,
Mhm.
and those Tupamaros started shooting just at yeah, just to the head.
Random.
To
Oh my.
yes,
Oh my.
yes,
So,
yes.
when now at some point it came to be that you said, "I don't know if I like Venezuela anymore. I think I have to go somewhere." And your sister was gone, your best friends
Hmm.
were gone, and they left for other parts of Central and South America, or Europe, when we're not gonna identify where, but you
Hmm.
decided, "Hey, I'm gonna tap out." What was one of the triggers that made you decide that?
I think it's a cumulative effect. And every Venezuelan in my generation grows with the idea of, okay, I'll get into college. And if I manage to graduate, then I'll get out of the country. Like that's the
Mhm.
regular path you grow up thinking of,
Mhm.
because there's no opportunities in the local market to grow. So I would say in my case, it was a gradual thing. And yeah, it was a gradual thing, and just it
Okay.
just seemed like I had a low roof, so to speak. Like you feel like you cannot grow as a person and have a
Yeah.
normal life
Yeah.
in Venezuela
I think
despite
we'd
having
call
your
that a
family
very
there.
low ceiling.
Yes, low ceiling.
Okay.
Yes, low
Yeah. Like
ceiling
there's
kind of
something
sensation
preventing you that
to
you can't
grow.
get
Yes.
past. That is preventing your growth.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
in addition to that, you also need to understand all the situation, right? So it's cues to get fuel, cues to get normal food when there's scarcity of resources, which
Mhm.
happened quite for a few years.
Yeah.
And even my dad almost died one day just shopping for groceries when he had to go to Colombia, because in Venezuela we couldn't find those um, just food, you know.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
the border is dangerous, and just having a normal life where you want to shop groceries, shop,
Mhm.
yeah, have your car, have your fuel, have a normal salary, that
Yeah.
just wasn't happening in Venezuela. And there was power outages in 2019. We had a blackout that lasted for a week, a
Oh
whole week
wow.
without power.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, many Venezuelans live only by what they get from their relatives living outside of the country.
Oh really?
Yes,
Okay.
because local economy doesn't allow them to have like a normal salary. So you
Mhm.
either are an entrepreneur. Venezuelans are big in entrepreneurship, because that's the only way.
Hey, that's my favorite kind of people.
Yeah, you're either an entrepreneur, even if you're abroad. By the way, Venezuelans are
Uh-huh.
very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Um, or you receive money from relatives outside the city. So if
Mhm.
you work remotely, if you work online, and you have a power outage that lasts for a week, how can you even survive? How can you
Yeah.
manage? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's those things that had a cumulative effect where you say, uh yeah, it's this is not working. Like
So
I
you
need to get out.
fled Venezuela I'm going to use that word, and you can
Hmm.
correct me please if I'm wrong, but you fled Venezuela for something better.
Yes,
Is that accurate?
that is accurate. That is
Yeah.
accurate.
And
Yes.
so it wasn't political in nature. It's just like, I want to be able to eat. I want to be able to buy groceries. I want to be able to have a car, a
Yeah.
roof over my head. I want to take care of my family. So do you send money back to your family in Venezuela now?
Especially the person I care about in terms of sending is my
Mm-hmm.
grandmother. Like
Mm,
always, yeah, just being
yeah.
present is very important. Fortunately, my parents do have their entrepreneurship, so they're good.
Way to go,
they're
Dad.
they're good. Yeah,
All
they're
right.
safe. They're fine.
Way to go,
But
Mom. Way to go, Dad.
yeah, but yeah, my grandmother is one of those pieces that yeah, I don't
Okay.
forget about her.
If you feel comfortable, where do you live now? Are you in Europe or are
Yes.
you in
I live in
okay.
Argentina currently, and
Okay.
it's been an awesome country. It's been very welcoming, and the Argentinians are very warm people towards Venezuelans. That was actually
Yeah.
one of the big reasons for me to choose this country. Like,
Uh-huh.
of course, we as Venezuelans have people all around the world. And when
Uh-huh.
you heard about other Venezuelans talking about how they were received here in
Uh-huh.
Argentina, it was always positive. So I was
Sure.
like, hey, I'm not going to go to a country that doesn't want me there. I'm going
Yeah.
to go to a country where we had shared cultural values, where we share history, and we also get along. And that was
Mhm.
Argentina for me. Hmm.
All right. So, Maria, you have been back to Venezuela on a pretty regular basis.
Yes.
And but you have to make some very odd travel arrangements because of, I mean, you've got
Yes.
Argentina is way in the south and Venezuela is way in the north, and people don't
That's
think of it
true.
that way, but you've got Argentina in the southern tip of South America, and Venezuela is the northern tip of the spear
Yes.
of Venezuela. How do you get back and forth? Do you fly? Do you drive? Do you take a
Yeah.
train?
Great question. Great question.
Yeah.
So I do have a couple of stories I want to share about that.
Okay.
So first I'll share the direct question, and then I want to talk about COVID times and how I
Oh.
how that also played into part.
Mm.
Um but yeah, in current times I fly to Colombia, to Bogota, and then from Bogota I go to Cucuta, which is the border city,
Hmm.
and then you cross the border by feet, like just walking,
Okay.
and to
Just
get
walk
into Venezuela.
across.
Yes.
Okay.
um there are some caveats to this. Many
Okay.
Venezuelans decide not to do the formal immigration process if they are only going to stay for a few days or for a
Hmm.
few weeks within the time frame that Colombia allows them to be in Colombia
Okay.
legally. And the reason why is because you get registered by the Venezuelan military, and it can get dangerous. You can get robbed.
Okay.
You can get even kidnapped if they know you
Mm.
come from a wealthy country. So the last few times I've actually not, I have actually not done the formal process to get into Venezuela. I just stay
Okay.
in Colombia legally, and then I enter Venezuela
Okay.
for a few days just to see relatives and then go out.
Okay.
This is something that is generalized. Like, this is not just me and a few people. This is a general practice amongst Venezuelans in the border. Um, and it can get
And
dangerous.
so it looks like they're visiting Colombia, but they just
Yes,
walk across for a couple of days and spend some time in Venezuela, and then they walk back across so they can keep their legal Colombian status.
correct. That is
And
absolutely
so,
correct. Hmm.
so do you become then an Argentinian citizen or a Colombian citizen so that you have easy access to
Yes. So,
things like that?
yes, great question. So there is something called El Mercosur. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
I'm not.
it's basically Latin American countries, especially South American countries,
Mhm.
who share history, who share cultural values, and are we have a shared market,
Okay.
kind of like the European Union, but
Okay.
not as free as the
Okay.
European Union.
All right.
But there are some benefits of being a Mercosur citizen, and one
Hmm.
of them is getting my Argentinian residency is much easier because Venezuela back in the day was made into the Mercosur agreement. Then
Okay.
we got out of it, but out of grace, they let us stay in it just because of humanitarian reasons.
Hmm.
So we get the same Mercosur treatment that any other citizen in South America. So that's why I'm currently processing my permanent residency in Argentina.
Okay.
And it's easier for Venezuelans to do that than for other foreigners outside of the Mercosur
Sure.
agreement.
Sure. So when you left Venezuela
Hmm.
to move to Argentina, tell us what life was like.
Yes. So there are some big changes. Um, you notice just there are so many things that I don't know how to start talking about it, but Venezuela has had so many changes that it's hard to
Mhm.
have a memory of that. But just getting here to the um, supermarket, seeing the availability of products that you normally wouldn't see in Venezuela, or you would see at a much more expensive rate and imported
Yeah.
goods, that was one thing. The
So
other
when
big
you were in
thing. Mhm.
Venezuela and you looked at the grocery shelves, there wasn't much on them.
Depending on the year, yes. There
Okay.
had been years where there wasn't much on them and we needed to go to Colombia to buy groceries. So that
Okay.
it was that bad. Like we needed to
Okay.
drive to Colombia to buy groceries, to shop.
Okay.
So Argentina doesn't have that issue, at least not in within the time frame I've been here.
Mhm.
Um, and then there's also big things that we have here in Argentina that in Venezuela we couldn't even dream of, which is healthcare, for instance.
Mm.
So healthcare in Venezuela is non-existent. Like as I mentioned, hospitals were part of the university's infrastructure.
Mhm.
And since we don't get funding in the universities anymore from oil or anything because the industry was destroyed, um, the hospitals don't get funding either. So you would go to a hospital in
Oh.
Venezuela and it was horrible, like horrible conditions, poor eye hygiene, doctors working with their bare hands, like just very bad conditions.
Mhm.
Whereas the healthcare system here in Argentina makes sure every citizen has, um, let's say, a savings account or an account like a either yeah, they have like a healthcare
Yeah.
system where even if you're an entrepreneur or a public servant or just an employee, you have access to healthcare,
Yeah,
and it's
everybody
good
has
healthcare.
healthcare. Okay,
Yes,
good.
yes.
Good. So
So
what
that
does your
was.
grandmother do if she gets sick right now?
Oh no, that's just call family, call relatives, and we all help out and send money
Okay.
to pay in debit, like to pay in cash for her
Okay.
treatment. Like there's no insurance, there's no like insurances don't exist in Venezuela. Like they
Okay.
don't work, they don't exist. Like you don't have credit. Like in America, credit culture is something very normal. Like you have your
Mhm.
credit card, you have your credit rating, your credit score. That
Yeah.
doesn't exist in Venezuela. Like
Okay.
we do not work with credit. Everything is um just debit, just cash, just whatever you have, and whatever you have is very little. It's
Okay.
very little.
Well, recently Venezuela made headlines, and that was really the reason that this whole topic of conversation. You and I were on a business call, and
Hmm.
then I find out that you went back to Venezuela, and you express such a grateful heart for the people of the United States.
Yes.
When the political climate changed a month
Yes.
ago, a couple of months ago, when the political climate changed, you were just overwhelmed with
Yes.
gratefulness
Yes.
for the old Estados Unidos.
Yes.
um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
tell us what it felt like. Tell us what it looks like now in Venezuela.
Right now in Venezuela, it's a little bit of a. We feel encouraged. We feel hope for the first time in decades,
Uh-huh.
in at least 2 decades. We feel
Yay.
hope,
Yeah.
but we also feel cautious. Like there's some anxiety.
Mhm.
We cannot talk out loud in the streets about how we feel because we fear being imprisoned for that.
Yeah.
And there's a tough transition taking place right now.
Mhm.
I don't know if we can even call it transition yet, but certainly something has changed. There was a
Yeah.
major shift from what it used to be before December
Uh-huh.
and now. And I had the actual I had the actual let's say life situation of being there when that
Oh,
happened. So I was in
yeah.
Venezuela
I
when
know, that's
when
that's why we
yeah,
started talking. I was like, "Oh my
yeah.
gosh, you are right now in Venezuela, oh my goodness."
Yes, I was
And there
visiting.
was,
Mhm.
lots of big changes going on. But the country as a whole, when you described it, you said there's now this great encouragement and great hope.
There's hope.
Um, that's
There
so
is hope.
important,
There is
isn't it?
hope, and the general commentary from Venezuelans is that we welcome our American partners. Like
Oh, yeah.
back in the day, Americans and Venezuelans used to do business together uh, all the time. Like they were
Mhm.
our biggest partner in the oil industry and in many, 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 many more industries.
Yeah.
And we're happy to do business with Americans. Like I do business with Americans. I love doing
You
business
do it
with
every
Americans. So
day.
yeah.
I gotta
So
tell you folks, Maria's happy to take my money, so
yeah. So when people are concerned about the talks of Americans taking our oil, the answer most Venezuelans give is they're paying for it. Like
Yeah.
Americans pay for it. Cubans
It
have not paid for it. They
yeah,
just receive it
it's
for free.
better
And
than
our other
stealing it.
partners, yeah, our other partners in this last years have only helped destroy the industry or just take a blind eye as
Mm,
towards what is happening internally in the country. So
yeah,
we welcome not only Americans but any foreigner that wants to do business and to honor deals with Venezuelans, so long as it's a win-win situation. We
yeah,
welcome them. So
yeah,
that's yeah,
perfect.
that's the situation. Hmm.
Hey, when it's a win-win. So, have you experienced, like, when you were back there, or when you talk to your folks, your parents, yeah, other family members now, is there a little more food on the shelves? Are things getting easier? Is there anything that we can do as American citizens
Ooh,
to, like, assist and help?
wow. um, I think the biggest thing you can do is push and keep pushing for a regime change in Venezuela because we voted and the people already have stated what we want. We won the
Mhm.
election um, in the 28th of July, where Maria Corina Machado was elected through Edmundo Gonzalez because she
Yeah.
couldn't be a candidate because they didn't allow her to be so. But Edmundo Gonzalez won. So just to honor that, because we have the ballots, we have the evidence, we have the proof,
Mhm.
and I think that what America is doing right now is actually honoring that democracy because um, we have a cartel in charge of a country that does not want them there. We've tried everything, everything in protests, in Pacific protests, in hunger protests. Like we've tried everything to get them
Mhm.
out of the way, and they have not left the country. So, if Americans can do something to support Venezuelans, is to take out, like to agree with any policy that means taking out the cartel so that we can recover our country and recover our democracy. That's the way uh, Americans can help us, definitely.
Yeah, when I think of cartel, I automatically think of a criminal enterprise. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. Absolutely accurate.
And
Absolutely accurate.
what crimes is the cartel guilty of conducting?
Well, some of the crimes have actually affected Americans. Of
Mhm.
course, drug trafficking,
Yeah.
along with um, along with cartels in Mexico, and also routes throughout the Caribbean.
Mhm.
Um, but not only trafficking drugs. That's actually just the tip of the iceberg. Like they're a cartel in all means. They torture prisoners, torture people who don't agree with them. If you're a foreigner and you arrived to Caracas through the airport before
Mhm.
the Americans came in back in December, in January, sorry. Um,
Mhm.
if you came as a foreigner and they saw you had some money in your pockets and they had this look in their faces while you were arriving to Venezuela, you could get imprisoned until
Mm.
one of your wealthy friends paid for a rescue.
Yeah.
So that happened to
It's
French
kind of
citizens. Yeah.
kidnapping, right? Yeah.
Yes, kidnappings that happened to French citizens, to many European citizens. We have not only Venezuelans being tortured, we have Peruvians being tortured. We have an Argentinian who is a part of the um, police forces from here being tortured in Venezuela because
Mm,
he had been visiting there for family reasons or for tourism reasons, whatever
mhm.
the reason. They don't care. They act like a
Yeah.
cartel. They kidnap, they torture, and they just violate human rights because they have impunity. And if you don't show strength to someone who has impunity, they will keep on enforcing their power, and they
Mhm.
will keep on enforcing injustice to a population that doesn't want them there from decades ago. Like
Yeah.
at least 15 years ago, we don't want them there, but they're
All
still
right.
there. So, yeah.
All right. What current risks are being endured by the people of Venezuela?
Current risks, there are
Mhm.
many. From liberty, like freedom of expression is non-existent in the streets and in social media. You have to be
Mhm.
very careful if you're inside Venezuela of what you post, because if you're driving from a city to another, or even within Caracas, you can get caught by the guards, and they will check your phone, they will violate your privacy rights, and they will just imprison you for whatever reason, for whatever they find in your phone. If you show support to Americans as a whole, you can get imprisoned just for
Mm.
showing open support to receiving Americans in Venezuela.
So what I've heard is that the people of Venezuela are very pro-American.
I would say so.
Pro-America, yeah.
I would say
And
so.
perhaps the
Yeah.
government not yet.
No, the government is not going to be pro America because they are aligned with Russia, Iran, Hezbollah, and enemies of the Western
Mm.
Hemisphere. So they will never show, um, yeah, any signs of friendship. What they're doing right now, and the cooperation they are doing right now, is just because they were enforced to do so. Like there
Mhm.
was, yeah, but it's not out of, let's say, dialogue. We've
Yeah,
tried dialogue for years with them, and it's never worked.
yeah. Don't try to negotiate with a terrorist. Oh my
Exactly.
goodness. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, I am so grateful that you were able to come on the program. We're going to do some editing and we're going to send this back to you so that you can make sure that there's nothing in there that puts your family at risk. I so greatly respect your courage in coming on this podcast and making known some of the things that are truly happening in Venezuela, a country that you love. I mean, I'm
Deeply.
not talking out of school because you already told me how much you love the people and your country, and you're very patriotic. So I salute you. You've lived a big life. Usually, we ask who to thank for that. I'm going to just automatically look over the camera and say, Mom and Dad, you're entrepreneurs, and Grandma. We just hope that this podcast blesses you. Know that your granddaughter loves you deeply and loves the country that you brought her up in. And until next time, I hope you stay well and stay safe and make sure that your family is taken care of. Maria, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Jim, for the time, the space, and everything. It's been my pleasure to be here.
All right. So until next time, Grampion Nation, hey, let's think about and let's pray about our friends and our brothers and sisters in Venezuela. This is Jim, and I am out. When you get an opportunity, subscribe or follow wherever you get your podcast.